Hello, my fellow Virginians. Today, I, Sam Wojcicki, announce to you my candidacy for the 2012 Virginia Senate election from the newly formed Moderate Party. I believe that I have the skills and mindset necessary to serve you with effective and real representation, which follows the very moderate spirit of this great state. I've lived in Virginia since I was very young, and have grown up loving this state. I graduated from Powhatan High School and went on to earn a dual degree in chemistry and chemical engineering with a minor in international affairs. For years, I worked on developing alternative solutions to very real problems facing citizens of nations across the world. That time was very valuable to me. But as my career moved forward, I decided it was time to work to help end those problems from the political realm. I went back to school and earned my master's in public administration and then my doctoral degree in political science. Since then, I have served in various positions at the local level of government, as a senator in the Virginia General Assembly, and as a member of the late governor's cabinet. In that time, I have seen government rise to the occasion, and I have seen it fail. I have seen Virginians do amazing things despite the economic hardships which face our nation. And the entire time, I have watched in bewilderment as our national government argued and bickered over pennies, while taxpayers' dollars were going down the drain. I watched the American people steadily lose faith in government, a condition which has only recently taken a toll for the worse. Gallup polling now cites record low faith in government, and a recent CBS poll has only 1 in 5 Americans who have trust in government. And so, I ask why. It's the question that moves the world. Why have we lost our faith? What is so wrong with our government? Our representatives all seek to do what is best for the constituents and our nation. So why is there no faith? Why do Americans trust business more than the government? And yet is that elusive? Business makes money. But government, what do they do? It's not as simple as it once was. In fact, it's become convoluted. We have escaped our principles. We have left them by the side of the road. And I'm telling you today, it's about time we found them again. We do not need a government which is involved in everything. We need a government which works. Today we face economic crisis, and we have representatives with the audacity to do what is easy, rather than what is right for you and for me. I believe that we need to work together to develop a plan which is simple and helps our people. First, we need to have clearly targeted spending cuts, not across-the-board spending cuts, and not spending cuts solely targeted at entitlements. We need spending cuts that are strategic, thought out, and based in common sense. Additionally, spending can be cut by smarter regulations. Today we have too many regulations that don't make sense, and too many which do and go unenforced. It's about time that if our government makes a regulation, they enforce it. In the Senate, I would work to make these tough spending cuts and streamline our regulatory processes so that entitlements go to those who they were intended for, and business is not hindered by outdated or ill-conceived regulation. Furthermore, we need a smarter and less complex tax code. I've heard far too many cries for flat taxes, tax cuts, and tax reform that do not address the real issue. We have too many loopholes and shortcuts that effectively hurt the middle class and cut revenues. Today we need to fix those. Tax reform should not be about class warfare, nor should it be about the failed trickle-down economics of the Bush and Reagan administrations. The Bush-era tax cuts need to be re-examined, and the face of our tax code needs to be changed. We cannot afford the luxury of allowing companies to make record profits while the middle class cannot find jobs. We cannot allow the gap between the rich and the shrinking middle class to grow anymore. We must be responsible with our tax code. As your senator, I would work to streamline the tax code so that the taxes will not need to be raised, but so that they will return to their principles and abandon the commonplace shortcuts. By doing these things, we can restore our government's financial health and lower the deficit, making our country a better place to live in. But in order to grow our country and find prosperity in the future, we must also do these things which will grow our economy. Virginia has been known as one of the best states in which to do business. Why? Because our state invests in its people. Over the past decade, our state has worked to invest more in innovation, education, and invention. And I want our nation to do the same. We need to reinvest in our future by building new infrastructure and encouraging the youth and leaders of today to invent and innovate for the future. We need to create a more conducive environment for students across the nation to find success by re-examining our higher education system and the accessibility of those higher level institutions. We need to produce more innovators of science so that when companies see the United States as a prospective site for their jobs, they see a place where innovation is truly every day. We need to invest interest into the future energies which will power tomorrow and will be more cost effective than the fuels currently in use, considering each and every option as a viable one. Lastly, we need to produce more. Whether it be made in the USA or invented in the USA, this is what we need. We cannot allow our trade influence to weaken, and we cannot allow other nations to unfairly use currency as a weapon. We must reassert our economic and creative force across the world through strategic diplomacy in the private sector and through new trade policies developed in the Senate. I've laid before you a plan for what I would do as your senator. I believe this plan to be simple and common sense. Today our government is losing the faith of its people, and that is not acceptable. Today our government has lost that faith because our government is not sticking to its principles. It is time that we return back to those principles. Now you will hear from politicians and candidates who will tell you that it is time to find new government, or that it is time for change, or that we need to return back to our past, or that all we ever needed to do was allow the states to have their rule. But we don't need any more back and forth, and surely all those things promise just that. I propose it is time for our government to simply return to its principles by streamlining our fiscal policies, both spending and regulations, and by reducing a bloated tax code. Perhaps it is time we reinvest in our future, our education, our inventors and innovators of tomorrow, our products and our exports, and each and every one of you, so that the United States remains the shining light on the shore, and we move into the future with the same exceptionalism which has long marked our bright history. Thank you.